let's talk about Legend of the Sea Devils, the latest edition of Doctor Who, which is not only the penultimate adventure for Jodie Whittaker, but is also an on-screen return for one of the show's most famous adversaries. I'm gonna give my honest thoughts and feelings of this Easter special, breaking down and discussing key plot details and themes, so this video comes with a spoiler warning. You have been warned. Right, out the gate, I just need to say the Sea Devil design is fabulous. Without question, my favourite monster redesign of the new series. They have a blend of their fishnet outfits from their original appearance in the Sea Devils, and their swordsmanship is a nice throwback to their pretty absurd samurai gear in Warriors of the Deep. But more than just the costume, the prosthetics blended with CGI come together quite well for the most part. I liked how they only focused the CGI facial expressions on the main Sea Devil, with the background ones having just masks with blinking eye effects now and again, so as to spread out the effects budget a bit more. However, that doesn't mean to say that this episode was flawless throughout. There were some excellent pieces here, the TARDIS at the bottom of the sea being a particular highlight, and the giant sea monster looked pretty good, even though it reminded me of that massive fish from the Phantom Menace. But then there are other parts where the VFX look pretty clunky, such as Dan skipping the stones. Then when it comes to the episode design, all the stuff on the beaches looked pretty good, but everywhere else felt remarkably mid-80s Who. Madam Ching's ship especially clearly had that in-studio feel. And don't worry, I get it, Doctor Who doesn't have the biggest budget going in TV, but you'd think that due to not running a full series in 2022, they'd at least be able to make some better tweaks throughout. On the whole, the production is fine, if a little stock in places. I mean, hey, it's a damn sight better than Warriors of the Deep, that's for certain. However, Legend of the Sea Devils is by no means a perfect episode. In fact, it carries with it pretty much all of my Chibnall era annoyances, like a bloody who's who of his tropes. No pun. The sonic screwdriver, for example, is used 3 times within the first minute of the Doctor on screen, which always gets under my skin. It's just a get out of jail free card to the script writers. And as for the script, yet again we are presented with the bulk of the word count being dedicated to the Doctor flat out explaining all the context of what's going on and exactly what she's going to do. You know what would be interesting to the audience? If she just, you know, did it, rather than talking Yas step by step through the next act of the episode before it even happens. In fact, the dialogue in general here contains so many predictable, overused, and forced clangers to the point where I know what the back of my eye sockets look like from memory. Here's just a few of my particular favourites, if you can call them that.
What are you wearing?
I was about to say the same to you. Before I kill you!
Since when do Sea Devils have a ship?
Since me.
Yep, 274 years, 4 months and 2 days. Into the future will take us back to where we left Dan.
It doesn't exist. What's that?
Damp. Bit cramped. Damp cramped.
You talk. They took my ship, my crew, and my life.
If you want even more jagged scripting, the Doctor and Yas. Right, let's address that. Now, I know this has divided the fandom a lot. I made it abundantly clear in my review of Eve of the Daleks that my main issue here comes solely down to how the concept of the Doctor and Yaz's romance has been handled in terms of subplot development. And here the problem continues for me. The trouble is that in a high-octane swashbuckling adventure, you're never gonna have an opportune moment to take a breather and address this subplot. No matter where you drop it, it means that it's going to feel like it's crowbarred into the scene when the momentum should be carrying the main plot. And then when it is brought up, it's glazed over and dropped quite unnaturally. It's like, here we go, here's the plot, now let's immediately take a 20-second break from the plot to develop this other idea we've been cooking up in the background. Right, have we covered that to keep people happy? Great, tick the box, back to the Sea Devils again. It's a real shame because, you know what, other than the odd line that you could finish a mile off at the end of the episode, the scene of the Doctor and Yas on the beach was really nice. They both played to their strengths, especially Jodie, and her speech about not being able to become fixed to a person due to the nature of being a time Time Lord, was a great scene. It could have been even slightly better to not cram in little romantic moments throughout the runtime and just do all the relationship talk at the end here in a self-contained scene, just to flesh it out and make it a bit more clean. But it's that level of the unnatural vibes given off in previous scenes that actually dragged down this ending from reaching its maximum level of power. I mean, somehow the scene between Dan and Diane felt more emotionally compelling to me. That actually did feel natural and honest, and John Bishop sold the hell out of it. In fact, right, let's get on to John Bishop. Yet again, Dan suffers from being separated off from the Doctor and Yas to do his own thing, and despite the Doctor adamantly stating that Dan is her mate and to not diss him, she literally abandoned him to go time hopping with Yas for a bit where anything could have happened to him. It clearly feels like Dan is just sort of there while the Doctor's main priority is Yas, like Dan is playing second fiddle constantly. That's a real shame to me because he's a highlight in every episode he's been a part of, with all the funniest moments being attributed to him, and I believe every word he says, especially in the emotional sequences. Bishop is masterfully convincing in the role, but I feel like even in Geordie's swan song, he's going to be clouded out by other elements of the story. I'll cover that a little more in a bit. So, what about the story's premise here? Goodness me, is it copy and paste? Sea devils are bad and want a special item to be even more bad. I'm gonna stop you, sea devils. Done. I love the time setting, I love the fact we finally have something going on in China, and the overall idea of delving into the mystery of the Flor de la Mar was exciting to me, but that entire plot thread as well as the aesthetic just became window dressing by the end. It's not a story that grips you and carries your interest that well, it's just a whole load of things happen. As a pirate story, it's definitely better than the Space Pirates and the Curse of the Black Spot, but doesn't hold a candle to the Pirate Planet, and that's a bit of a problem down to how much potential Legend of the Sea Devils had. However, it instead comes across like a Doctor Who Adventures comic strip or an adaptation of a BBC novel. Sea devils are sea creatures, sea monster, the sea, pirates on the sea, pirate treasure, pirate queen, pirate sword fighting. It just has this whole CBBC aura about it. It's a nautical runaround, light-hearted adventure story. I understand that, I got the memo, but this did feel remarkably childish in a lot of sections. Oh, but Doctor Who is a kid's show, Connor. Yep, I'm well aware, and it is Easter, so you don't want to be too gritty, but it just so happens to yet again slosh around Chibnall's tonality on rough seas, and it looks like we are heading for a dark finale for Geordie, which again would be the complete opposite to this story. My quick-fire thoughts on the finale are it looks way too crammed, and so much focus is going to be taken away from it being Geordie's final story, which is what I feared it would be. Listen, having Ace and Tegan back on screen got me fully pumped up, and I cannot wait to see them back again, especially Ace as one of my all-time favourite companions, and having the Master back was only going to happen regardless, but to yet again drag the Daleks in, who I'm just sick of seeing at this point, plus the Cybermen again, particularly the Ashad Cyberman, plus Kate Stewart and Vinda, Bell very likely on top of that, it's as if Chibnall is just launching everything at this last episode, hoping to be as epic as possible. He's trying to craft another Journey's End. Hopefully he's worked on the script first and the bells and whistles later, though that's never really been the case for his tenure. I'll be back later in the year to chat about Geordie's as yet untitled final adventure, but as for Legend of the Sea Devils, it was bang average, quite sloppily executed, with a decent production, a fairly stock use of the Sea Devils, some poor writing in a lot of parts, but a couple of really nice character moments dotted in throughout, even though they're quite sparingly used. So that's my honest review, but if you'd like to leave yours in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree, please let me know. And while you're down there, a cheeky subscribe wouldn't go amiss. I'll see you around in time and space, Whovians. I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls. Cheers!